Hey, Chris, welcome to the big picture. We are back. We are back. We've been talking about consumer payments the last 2 weeks. And I tell you something, I've been talking to Chris. Chris said we haven't even got deep in the water on consumer payments yet. So if you've been watching the last couple of episodes of the big picture, we've been going in deep in this area. But now we're going to hit the waves right now, right? We're going to hit the waves right now because Chris has something on his mind and he wants to get off his chest when it comes to consumer payments. So, Chris, my friend, introduce yourself.
Hey, Grant, great to see you. Happy to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Principe, publisher of Financial IT. And yes, we are going to talk consumer payments. So let me start off with the same thing I've started off with every show when we talk about consumer payments, which are what I call the 4 I's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Payments are about being invisible, intelligent, instant, and integrated, right? So when we talk about that, we've already talked about open banking. We've talked about the buy now, pay later, which it's a great feature. I don't like the idea that it encourages people to get in debt. Don't get in debt, but it's very useful. But now we're going to talk about what's going to be the big fight in consumer payments, and it's
Okay.
starting already. So, Grant, what's the big fight is going to be over what we are calling super apps.
Super apps. Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So
So talk to me
in
about
theory,
super apps.
or
Well, what do you mean, like all-inclusive platforms? Like when you go to like a place like Jamaica, you got the all-inclusive. You don't have to leave my resort. Everything you need is right
that's
here.
right.
No need to go anywhere.
That's right. That's right. Just ask and it's yours, right? so so the super apps are it's going to be the fight because who controls the super apps will control consumer payments, as well as many other things, right? So a super app is one app you will use for everything financial and maybe beyond that. So
Okay.
to give you an example, it's one app that will connect to your bank account, checking, savings. It'll connect to your crypto account. It'll connect to your Uber account. It'll connect to your shopping account, right? Whatever it is that you're using will be all in one place. So for consumers, simplicity is the word, right? You go into
Mm.
one app, you can do whatever you want, whatever you need. In fact, what the super apps are going to let you do is with the help of AI, let them do it. All you got to do is say, oh, I need to go to the airport at 3 o'clock. And your super app worth AI will work out who's best, Uber, Lyft, taxi, car service, and then it'll work out, okay, how to pay for it. Yeah, this is the card with the most money. Okay, we'll pay with that one. Or this is the one that we always use. Okay, we'll use that one. Then it'll figure out even the time that you should leave and book and reserve your, just one example, Grant, right? Now, today, you have some super apps that are close to super apps, mainly in Asia. WeChat does it. There's Gojek. There's Grab, right? Each one of them is
Mm.
trying to get all of your activity in one place, right? Now,
Yeah.
we haven't seen yet here, for instance, in the US, that single all encompassing chat-based ecosystem that aggregates all financial services, commerce, and local service into a single and what will be a sticky platform. Because once you start using it, the ease of use for it will you just won't think about using anything else.
This
So
is like
right
this.
now,
Can we stop this for a second? Because we got you're saying a lot. We got to let our audience kind
I
of like,
did.
whoa, this is you just pulled out the fire hose here. However, so we got to think through this, right? Because these super apps, to your point, are already being used in other markets across the world. You've got your we call Grab that's in Southeast Asia. You got GoCheck, which is GoPay, that's in Indonesia. Then you got Alipay, which I think is some kind of ant group or something out of China. And then you have the WeChat. And I don't think there's what you call a super app right now in the US. And maybe that's where what you just said, the big fight is over, because you got your,
Big fight.
PayPal, your Apple, your Stripes, your Google platform, Amazon, Meta. Is that? So I just wanted to pump your brakes a little bit so I get our audience like, whoa, I don't even have my coffee in yet, and say, okay, super app guy, the market's still open in the US, right?
Well, U.S. and by the way, Europe. You have two
Europe.
huge
Yeah.
consumer payment markets that it's open. And Grant, I got to tell you, and so our audience knows, you and I really hadn't discussed anything about super apps, and boy, you were on target. You knew exactly where those apps are coming from, and you know exactly what they're going to. Are you sneaking and look at my notes? I don't know. Anyway.
No, I have tools and a library of information at my disposal.
Well, that's the key thing. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find it all.
Right.
Right. So right now, the fight will be like between Apple Pay, Google Pay, Alipay, Meta's payment system, Amazon. All these big guys are all going to be fighting for it, and they're doing some of it already. Right. Mm-hmm. They're starting to embed themselves into different places, particularly in your phone, right? So that you can automatically do things in different places, but they haven't gotten that holy grail of we are your everything, and that's the goal.
Yeah. Right? Maybe, I don't know if they're going to get, maybe they get there, but people are fickle. People especially when they know the game, like, oh, you want all in one, but it's got to be, and do I get a discount? Like when you join a travel club, let's say, the reason why you do that, because it's cheaper to utilize the travel club than doing it on your own. Like, oh, wow, they got cheaper hotels, cheaper travel, cheaper cars. This is a good deal. And you can verify that it's a good deal. So why not do that? Is the super app really a good deal? Meaning I'm saving money because it's a collective.
Well, Grant, I mean, you just spot on with a lot of that. Okay. What will be the main factor is that people will just get used to the convenience and the simplicity. All right. Mm-hmm. Yes, they might know that, I don't know, Google Pay is trying to corral all of your activity in business. But if Google Pay makes it so easy that you just hit one thing and you can do everything. And by the way, some of the things you mentioned, shopping rewards. Yeah, that will be incorporated in there. That when you let AI go ahead and pay for something, it will look and see what shopping rewards are best suited here. If you're buying gas, maybe it's the gas one. Or maybe Rec 2 and it's still better than the gas one. It will decide all that for you, right? So the whole idea of making it sticky by these companies is to make it so convenient and so simple. You don't use anything else. In fact, you won't even really notice it. It'll be pretty seamless.
I think you're right. And I think about that because like Amazon is so easy to use. You've already got my credit card information. I know if I order it in in the US, I'm going to get it within hours or a few days. I get free television out of it. I pay $99. I get free shipping. They made it so simple to return things. Like, hey, this is not what I want. Take it to your Whole Foods or something like that. They credit you. I mean, they really have got the consumer experience down to a T. Now, when you go like, why would I do that with Meta? Meta, to me, the Facebook world is controversial. I don't want Zuckerberg in my wallet. I don't. I'm like, I still see he's a government entity kind of thing, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Where Amazon has always been, they're not controversial. They're not involved in government that I know of. They're just, hey, this is a great retail operation, and if that's what you're doing, really, is a transaction. I think they got a leg up. Google, I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll see how that all plays out. But these super app, now, here's my question to you, Chris, because I think you might know this. Because it's already in place in other countries. in Southeast Asia, in China. And these companies that I mentioned, the names of these, current super apps, I can they call it Kojak and GoPay and other. Where did they come from? Were they traditional retail? Were they a social media app? Or were they something else?
Well, Grant, let me start off by rewinding back a little bit because you said some important things that we really need to pick apart a little bit, right?
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
okay. So Amazon, everything you said about Amazon, spot on. They have made a super business out of being easy to use, convenient, and giving you as much as they can give you fast and at a good price, right? But when you talk about Meta, for instance, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, look, I have probably 6 Facebook profiles, but all I did was just make profiles of my name in different variations so nobody else can do it and then, make people think it's me. I don't use them. I hold them. It's kind of a security feature for me, right? But when you start looking at what goes on Facebook, okay, and you start thinking about a super app from there, not only can it do all the payments, but there's a lot of things you can buy on Facebook, number one. Number two, it can look at all your social media history that's on Facebook, who you interact with, who makes suggestions to you, what are the things that in the past you've done, and all that can go into fine-tuning how you pay, what you pay for, and even so far as, for instance, why wouldn't they send a message to your son and say, hey, listen, Dad just bought this. It was a great deal. Do you want one? You know what I mean? All this kind of stuff is possible when you talk about what social media, what a Meta has, what Facebook has in terms of information and access to it. And then you drop AI on it to go through it all really quickly and now provide you with real benefits. Not only that, any of these super apps, but especially like one on Facebook, can really search around for what is the best price. And not just the best price, but what is the best price plus shipping, plus tax, right? Because where you buy it from could make a difference. You might see a $10 price for something and not notice it's $5 of shipping. And then you would miss the $11 priced item that includes shipping. You see, but AI can do it for you. And as I said before, look at where's the best rewards. I'm getting 1% from this one. Hey, but if we use this one, we get 2%, right? So all these things come into play, like you said. And, people will make their decisions on these things in a lot of ways really based on what they're using a lot of today. Somebody who's on Facebook a lot is naturally going to start looking at Facebook super app first. Somebody like, how dedicated the Apple people are to Apple, right?
Yeah.
There are people who's have only in their lifetime only had Apple phones, which is great. There's your branding and your marketing from Apple. But those people, of course, will look and see what is Apple doing for us, right? So you can see where there'll be some segmentation in the world. But people like myself, who really I don't have allegiance to any of them, I'll look at which app does what I need in the best way, and that could be any of them.
I think, man, well, we're going to see what works. We're going to take a quick break because I'm telling you, I'm still drinking from the fire hose here. And I'm thinking through this whole super app. And I want people to know that there's a super app being built right now called One Connect in the Virgin Islands in St. Croix that has been done by a SETI case through Anthony Weeks. And I want you to take a look at that because that's a great way to come to the island. How many times you go to the island, you don't know what to do, where everything's at. Am I getting the best rate, this and that? And then it's not only in St. Croix, you have 340 Connect, you have 402 Connect, it'll be in Omaha, Nebraska, but you'll see 305 Connect in Miami, Boston, and all these other markets. So get a view of that. And when we come back, we're going to unpack more of this. Thank you.
Imagine, if you will, a single point of connection that puts at your fingertips all of the things that we do in our daily lives with ease of access and convenience. Whether in your personal life, for work, travel, and entertainment with family, friends, and in your work life. The new One Connect app is all you need to make your life more manageable and efficient in maximizing the best use of your time. The OneConnect app is your new connection in a world of busy people with lots to do and not enough time to get things done. OneConnect app was created with you in mind and is all you need. Download OneConnect app now. Also visit us at www.oneconnectapp.com.
In today's fast-paced financial landscape, access to capital is the key to success. At the heart of this revolution is Case Capital Markets, powered by Case. Here, innovation and investment converge, creating a dynamic environment where businesses can thrive and reach new heights. Introducing Grant McGaugh, the senior advisor at Case Capital Markets. Grant is a visionary leader, dedicated to connecting businesses with institutional capital and strategic funding. His expertise opens doors to game-changing investment opportunities, making him an invaluable partner for companies looking to scale and succeed in the competitive world of finance. With an impressive 25 years in technology, 9 years in healthcare, and 6 years in investment banking, Grant McGaugh has a proven track record. He has successfully closed over $500 million in high-value transactions, seamlessly bridging technology, healthcare, and infrastructure with innovative financial solutions. His experience is a testament to his ability to drive success. Case Capital Markets offers businesses direct access to over 32,000 venture capital firms, private equity funds, family offices, and institutional investors. This network empowers mid-market companies with under $100 million in revenue to scale beyond their limits, unlocking unprecedented growth potential. Debt, equity, growth capital, public offerings. These are the building blocks of the future of capital access. Whether you're scaling a business, seeking investment, or exploring market expansion, Grant McGaugh is your trusted partner. Together, you can unlock capital and create long-term financial success. The future belongs to those who take action. Are you ready to elevate your business?
We are back live. This is your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of STAR BDM, and host of Follow Brand Podcast and The Big Picture with Chris Principe. He is the publisher of Financial IT. I'm telling you, if you really want to know about financial IT, he is the guy, the group. You get a lot of great information. Chris, you're talking super apps today. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, super apps, it's become one of my new focuses for good reason. because these will be what will dominate us in the future. And I love your finishing touches on that last segment and the segue right into the commercial, because yes, there is an app that is taking a position in the super app genre right now from Steady in the Case Capital Market. Everyone should be looking out for that. So when we were talking about it, okay, so we talked a little bit about what Meta could possibly do with Facebook for you. Let's talk Google, right? So Google already, if you're using Chrome, you're using their browser. If you're on the phone, you might be using Google Pay already. But think ahead, because the other thing that we're going to see with the super apps is it's not just going to be typing into your keyboard or into your phone or even using movements. It'll be voice. So you'll be able to go into your super app and say, listen, like for me today, in a couple of hours, Grant, I'm going to be flying off to Saudi Arabia for a few days and then to the United Arab Emirates. I'll be in Riyadh and in Dubai, and then I'll be back, right? So I could actually, with my super app, just go ahead with my voice and say, hey, listen, give me a flight to Saudi Arabia, leaving today in the afternoon and coming back next Wednesday, and let them go ahead and work and find the best fare, be able to see, would it be better to use my miles, use to points, to pay, which credit card is best, where I get my most rewards, where the best seats are available. I mean, you could really be able to do all of that with voice and allow the AI to be able to take over on the other side. Grant, what say you about that?
No, that's exactly where the industry is going. If you've been following me at all, I've just been talking a lot about agentic AI. And that is where AI is not just answering questions, it's actually doing things. It's a very active platform. I call it context aware internet, if you want to call it like that, where it becomes your personal assistant, but at the same time is actually will be able to transact business on your behalf, depending on how much control that you give it. I think it's still in its infancy, but what Chris is talking about is exactly right. That you can now use an intelligent platform to do things that routinely has been kind of mundane for you as a human AI or a human intelligence, right? Finding the best rate. You got to go through so many different platforms, finding the flights. Is it a one-way flight? Is it a two-way flight? Is it this? Is it that? You see little segments of that when you use platforms like Priceline or something like that, where they're trying to do that on your behalf. But now you have this machine intelligence that can do that for you. And so we're going to see how this plays out. It is what I call a communication tool. There's three things now in business that I want people to truly understand, especially from a brand perspective. Your technology should be able to give you three distinct things. What are those three distinct things? It should give you speed. If it is not doing it quicker, faster, better, then it's not great tech. The other one is what you just alluded to, Chris, and that's communication. If it's not communicating at in different modalities, where there's text, where there's video, whether it's audio, in many different modalities on your behalf, you got to look at that. The other thing is scale. How is it scaling your reach in what you are doing? If it's scaling the platform and getting you better opportunities and better reach, now you've got a great technology. So going back to this super app, if it's doing those three things, it can do what you need it to do faster. It can get Chris over to Riyadh, and he's got the best hotel, he's got the best food, he's got the best service, and he's got the best pricing, and he trusts it. The trust layer is very important. He's got to be able to trust that is exactly what he was able to get, from his technology, his super app. It was speed. It communicated to him exactly what was happening and has an audit trail for him so he can take a look at all those things. And then it has scale. So you say, you know what? Why don't you plan out my entire year, Chris said, because I know where I'm going. And now it starts to do all this, and it'll continue to do this because prices change. And as he gets closer to it, this is where we're going into a context-aware fabric or an intelligent platform modality.
So Grant, I mean, perfect points you have there, right? And think about the same thing that we just talked about in travel. Think about for grocery shopping, right?
Mhm.
There's things that you repetitively buy, things that you need at certain times. You'll be able to allow the AI in a super app to be able to go out there and see which store is the best supermarket for buying this particular products, which ones deliver, where's the best price. I mean, all those kind of things. Think of it also in clothes shopping. Okay, it knows your sizes and everything. It can tell from your past history what you like to wear, what colors you like. It can do all that for you also. I mean, really, one of the big things here is the most valuable commodity we have in the world is time.
Mhm.
And this will certainly be a time saver. And that, to me, is a really critical point. And really, you can let it shop for anything. You want to buy a car, you can let it go out. You need insurance, of course. We all have to pay insurance, right? You can go out there and it can search on all the different insurances for you and come back with what could be the best price. So there's really a lot of things that are real time savers, right?
100%.
There's
And
a
if
lot of
it's
things
all
that
in one and it's easy to manage,
Mhm.
right? So if it's a super app, it's telling me, okay, it's in a container that is a trusted container. Obviously, it's got to be a trusted container that it's going to deliver to me in the best possible way. To your point, car shopping. How many times you got to go either online? You've got to find, a particular vehicle, and I'm just going to say whether it's used or new, and see what the best deal is, or it gives you information you don't know. Remember, Consumer Reports, like you didn't know that 2020 Ford Escalade, or I'm just going to throw out a car name, whatever it may be, had all these kind of recall problems. Like, I didn't know that. Usually, the dealers, they're going to tell you that, but it starts like, hey, this is not a good deal. But here's why. It's not going to just say it's not a good deal. So there's a lot of, so you don't have to do as much research, I guess is what I'm getting to. You shouldn't have to do as much research to get the best possible result that is trusted information. I know Chris loves that word trust because you got to have a trusted platform and that this information is correct, which is kind of where it lives.
Yeah, and trust really is important. I mean, everything is basically built on that. Our personal relationships are built on that. Our banking relationships, our financial relationships, our consumer. With certain stores that we prefer over others, maybe because it was a good experience at one store, not a good experience at another store. All these things go in there. But the beauty of a super app that has that AI layer, and agentic AI is the correct term for everyone, that has that kind of layer, can go out there and do all those things for you. And either you can allow it to go ahead and make the choice, right? And purchase it for you and just send you a message, okay, this was bought at this price and it's coming in on this day, right? Or you could allow it to give you the information and then you make the choice. So there's still a lot of control, and you still have the trust because you're going to be working with all the providers that you work with your same bank. And while I don't want to really encourage people trust everything your bank says, but you need to trust your bank to some extent because they have your money.
Well, if you
So
don't, you
these kind of
definitely
things.
need to look at some others.
Yeah. And then Grant, look at the medical field, for instance, right? When you go to the doctor, you want to get a second opinion, you could let your super app do that for you. See what other doctors are in there, see what's the price of services, because I know on the medical side, I mean, since I'm a kid, right? It's like, well, if the doctor says that, that's what it is. And most people don't check around, don't see what else is available, what new therapy and treatments might be out there. Because, and in fairness to a doctor, if a doctor's like my age, right? Yeah, he has great experience because he's seen 40 years of patients, but
Yeah.
he might not be up to date on everything. He's in his 60s, right? So he's like, I don't really need to stay as up to date on everything because I know it all already. I'm a doctor after all. It's kind of funny. Is one doctor told me is, why do you think they call it medical practice?
You
Because we're always
practicing on you.
practicing. Yeah, exactly. Right?
Hey, we got to go to a
And
quick
it's like
break,
anything else.
Chris. We got to
Oh,
go to a quick break. I want you to hold your thought and come back, because all this is important, because the human experience is changing from a business and financial landscape is what we're talking about. These super apps could be a very good convenience, but you have to be also aware of what it is that it's doing, so you can take full advantage of that. But we'll get back into that when we come back. Take care.
The difference between influence and legacy, it's the platform that carries your voice. You're not visible because you lack talent. You're visible because your brand doesn't speak. I've built 5-star BDM to change that. Most leaders have the expertise, but not the presence, the vision, but not the vehicle. Across 3 cities, one brand is helping leaders rise above the noise. Here in the heart of Omaha, strategy isn't left to chance. It's engineered with precision. In Omaha, we engineered your executive brand, AI-powered, data-driven, precise. TISA went from a local nonprofit to a national speaker in 90 days. We don't guess your brand strategy, we build it. On the shores of St. Croix, your brand takes on depth and meaning, shaped through curated retreats and legacy experiences. In St. Croix, strategy becomes soul. Our retreats don't just refine your message, they rediscover your mission. One founder rewrote his entire company story here. Funding followed 30 days later. This is where leaders remember who they were meant to be. In vibrant Miami, momentum meets amplification, transforming your voice into a movement. In Miami, your brand becomes a movement. Business development accelerators, audience building. Joy came with an old website and an outdated company name, but she left with 5,000 followers and a waiting list. This is where you scale with soul. 3 cities, 1 mission, your legacy ignited. It started with a thread. Let's pull it together. Stop blending and start leading. 5-star BDM, where legacy is engineered, embodied, and ignited. Visit 5starbdm.com and book your brand audit today.
Welcome to our TV network, your ultimate destination for all things exciting and essential. From mouth-watering food to the latest in fashion, health, education, music, movies, and news, plus thrilling sports and breathtaking travel, our TV network brings it all to you. Tune in today and experience the best of every world, all in one place, rtv.network.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about super apps. So if you're not familiar with super apps, Chris has been really going deep into this. He's been itching to talk about it because he sees it over in other markets, whether in Southeast Asia, where it's in China, it's in Indonesia. These super apps are taking over, and now they're starting to be equipped with super AI, with agentic AI options that are now customizing and personalizing this kind of interaction with people at scale. So, Chris, talk to us more about these super apps.
So, Grant, we're seeing this movement to the super apps. It like I say, for me, it's going to be like a heavyweight fight because it's all the really biggest companies are all going to get in there because they want to try to dominate this. Because if they dominate this, then they have a flow of traffic and business and a revenue stream that'll be pretty amazing, right? And they're quite right in that. And the secret of it, of course, is to make it as simple and convenient for us, the consumer, as possible. But one of the important things, which you mentioned several times, is scale, right? So they need scale so they can offer as many different platforms and options that we would normally be buying from. In other words, they want to try to be connected to everything so we never have to leave. Sort of like your Jamaican all-inclusive vacation, right? They don't want you to leave. They want you to stay on that one app. So that's one of the things. And that scale extends also to the information behind it. So to really have agentic AI work effectively, it needs to get its claws into as much data as possible so it can pull out results that are meaningful.
100%. And I want our audience to truly understand this, especially from an agentic AI parent. It has to have good information. There's bad data and there's old data. There's data that's out of context. You got to have context in order for the data to be meaningful. So just give you an understanding of where AI kind of sits. AI is really in the data and information era right now, but it's slowly getting into upscale into what we call context and the experience layer, where human beings actually operate. We operate in experience and we operate in context. The data information has to be in the right context in order for it to be valuable. That's why you start seeing what we call in the AI world drift, where you get answers that come out of AI. Well, that's not correct, or it's off base, because you haven't been able to fine tune it enough. It doesn't understand the perception that you're coming from in order to deliver to you the right result. This is going to be an ongoing thing before you want to own the entire experience, because corralling the human experience is not easy. There's many different tastes. Everybody has a different opinion. Let's just say we operate more, not so much in the analytical world as we operate in the emotional world, feeling world. We got to remember this, that AI does not feel the wind on its face. It does not feel someone's hand or their touch. So it doesn't have that kind of input. It can kind of simulate that kind of information, but it really doesn't understand what that is. A lot of that stuff is nonverbal. People will tell you, especially people that understand this, is that a lot of the communication between human beings right now, between me and Chris, are nonverbal. There's a lot of nonverbal communication that goes on. So this next wave, and I'm going to throw this out at you, Chris, not only agentic AI, or what we were talking about is generative AI, which a lot of people are familiar with large language models like ChatGPT and things of that nature. But then there's spatial AI, and the spatial AI is still in its infancy. It's starting to come out more and more. It's going to give it better context. It's going to start understanding the human experience better, because we live in a three-dimensional world and we perceive it in different modalities. And one doesn't always equal one in the human world. It depends on perception, how you see things. So it's going to be interesting. Early adopters will say, hey, this is great. But then they'll also see that, man, your AI is out of context. It's not giving me the right information. It's not talking to me in a way that makes sense in this particular endeavor. But purely transactional information, it could probably do very well in. That's the analytical side of things, where things are more predictable, and where if it's very predictable, it's within what we call it in technology 5 nines of reliability. So if it can give you 5 nines and it's very predictable, it can really do some damage out there. So the use case is very important for these super apps to scale and be effective.
Well, Grant, I'll tell you, I'm glad you brought up conceptual AI, because that certainly is where it's going, and it's certainly some of the things that are missing today. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples of where conceptual AI is already in use. Right, For instance, you can go on ChatGPT and say, I want to write a message to somebody, and I want the tone to be polite and dignified and non-offensive, right? Or you could say, I want the tone to be aggressive, insulting, and just really, hammer it home to them. And it now conceptually can start to mold your message based on the feelings that you want to impart on it, right? So like you and I, non-verbally, right? I can put a face like this and you'll know something's not right, right? AI can't do that.
Right.
But you're now in the beginnings of conceptual AI, you can now be able to give it some direction in the tone, the mood, these things. Now, you'll also be able to have AI that you use your camera with. It will then be able to see your expressions, your hand movements, these things. And it can personalize to you those things. Okay. We're not there yet. That will be, it's just around the corner, literally, right? It will be there. But yeah, conceptual AI is an exciting new part of what's happening. And who knows what's going to be after that, but there will be, of course.
Well, what you're talking about, and this is good, I want our audience to truly understand this as we go into the super app age, is orchestration. The orchestration layer is very, very important. And understanding that, variables change. This is the biggest kind of issue right now in anything that is, I call kind of agentic to a certain degree, is that the variables change. And because there are variability and everything, and when I say that, think of it like this. When you wake up in the morning, typically, and you map out your day, you can kind of see your 8 to 10 to 12-hour workday. But how many of us know that doesn't always go exactly as planned, because there are other variables that come into play that you can't engineer for, put it like that, or you can't anticipate that was going to happen. That throws you into a whole nother world of experience. And so when AI is not that nimble, it's not that flexible, it can't just assume that that's going to happen. So it doesn't. So it can only give you good information. The closer it gets, think of it like this. And I use this context in the last podcast I was in. As let's just say you're driving in an unfamiliar area, and you can't tell if you're coming up on a billboard that has a picture of an actual mountain scene, or are you actually approaching a beautiful mountain scene? This is the problem with AI today. It can't really tell the difference until it gets closer and closer and closer and says, oh, that's a picture of a mountain scene and not an actual mountain scene, which could be totally different. Because if you're driving in a car, it's like, hey, you need to either slow down and pay attention to what you're doing, or, it's not really relevant to a driving experience. So this is very important as we go forward. We can't offload everything into an AI world when it comes to decision making. A lot of the decision making still has to be in the human world, and understanding, as I said earlier, about context. Understanding context and experience is very important. But it can give you, at speed, at scale, and can communicate very predictable models. And if you stay within the predictable model world, I think these super apps can really take off.
So Grant, I want to move into something a little bit different where, AI can't help us at all, right? And just tell you a little personal thing that happened over the weekend. The last few days, I was actually in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And on Saturday, for instance, they tied the record for coldest weather that was set in 1948 of negative 19 degrees. I'm a Florida boy. This just wasn't for me. But what happened is I needed to loosen a bolt that was too tight. So what, of course, is the first thing in mind that you use for that? Do you know? What would you use?
Me, the first thing I would use in 19 below zero weather? Because I'm almost kind of in that. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska right now. The first thing is heat my car before I even think about it.
So I'll give you the answer real quick. and you'll recognize this right. Trusty old WD-40.
Oh my God. Yeah, you got to get unstuck for sure.
Right. Spray a little bit on the ball. And you know what? And it worked. And it came off. Well, it got me to thinking. Well, I've used WD-40 for, my whole life. I mean, my father told me this is what you use, right? So it stuck with me my whole life. But I never really looked into what is WD-40, right? So it was really interesting. And this will come around because, it's another, I think, example of branding that I need you to pick apart for me. Okay, so it was originally created as a rust prevention solvent, right? And the reason the name is WD-40 is to prevent rust, you got to get rid of water. So WD is water displacement.
Really?
And the 40 is because they made 39 recipes that weren't right, and the 40th one worked. Think about the branding aspects of that. And this was back in 1953. Now, it gets even more interesting because, and again, to a branding point, it gets more interesting because the formula has never been patented.
Really?
Okay? And we all think about a patent as the way to protect things, but what people don't understand with a patent is it expires after 20 years. And then all that information that, your company's secret recipe for whatever is open to the public and anybody can take it. 20 years, that's it. But in WD-40's case, right, they've built a $600 million business on a secret recipe that's kept in a vault in Bank of America in San Diego, because that's where they originally built it, right?
Smart.
And it's only left the vault 3 times in the last 30 years. It's in a notebook.
Dude, that was smart branding. Talk about branding. That was very smart branding.
Well, Grant, this is what I want to see. So it's secret versus patent, and it's transparency over secrecy. Okay? So in some ways, it creates some mythological thing around it, I guess. I mean, what would you say in this case for the branding?
Oh, no, the branding was fantastic. And somebody thought that through. And as we said, WD-40 is such, I had no idea what it meant. Like WD-40, tell me what that means. Like, no one knows what it means, but they know what it does. You're like, that stuff works. Like, you get that stuff, you spray it on something that needs to get unstuck. Usually it's steel on steel, and it's going to get unstuck. I don't care what it's made of. I know it works. It's pretty affordable. I'm good. Now, are there competitors out there? There probably are, but no one knows their name. So when you say WD-40, so you've got brand recognition, brand reputation, brand identity. And then somebody thought of it, like, you know what? To your point, hey, our secret formula is going to get out there. It's almost like the Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? Everybody knows about Kentucky Fried, the recipe, is it out there? They don't, nobody, you're like, oh no, we don't want this out there. So if you get a patent on it, and then that becomes a problem. So I never even thought about that, to be honest. I think that's very smart, especially when you've got something, it's got great traction, it's already doing what you want it to do, which is to make money and solve people's problems. Why not keep it in a vault forever? And how much is that worth? I will sell you the WD-40 patent for X amount of money. That's got to be something.
They're never selling it. And Grant, you brought up another really beautiful thing too, because KFC, 11 herbs and spices, which they use in their advertising, right, is not patented. It's the secret, and it's in a vault in Louisville. And they have 2 separate companies that make half of the recipe, so no one knows what the full recipe is, right? Let me give you a couple of other examples. Coca-Cola, right? The secrecy in their recipe has been since 1891, 134 years.
Wow.
Still protected, not patented, right? Google search algorithm, it's not patented. It's their secret.
Oh, that's
McDonald's black sauce, not patented. It's their secret. So you cannot, not only do you have a product that, are great products that, people have bought in the billions dollars worth of any of these products that we've mentioned, but it's part of the brand and the marketing, which amazes me.
So now it begs the question, Chris, why would you patent anything if that's the case? So why would you take patent to get some intellectual property or something? Why would you patent things?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's conventional wisdom. Okay. Coca-Cola is a great example, right? Because it's easy to figure out the ingredients. Like any of these things, you can reverse engineer them, figure out the ingredients, but making it so it tastes the same, whole different thing. Whole different thing, Grant.
Maybe that's why you have Pepsi. Because it tastes exactly the same.
But people that like soda, right? They know the difference in taste of Coca-Cola from Pepsi.
Sure.
Without a doubt, not the same formula.
Sure. That had to be something. I'd love to be in that courtroom where Coca-Cola and Pepsi saying, we're not Coca-Cola, we're Pepsi. Like, no, you stole, my idea. Like, no, we got our own stuff. Then Dr. Pepper's on the side taking notes, so those are all those similarities, but it comes down to soda taste. But that's good, because as we go in this race, and you're a finance guy, IT guy, is that you still need to create assets. These are assets, so if you have an asset, you got to start thinking through, how do you, either patent something, or you copyright something, or you create intellectual property out of that so it becomes valuable over time. So before we go there, think about these super apps. Are these super apps patented or not?
Well, Grant, that's part of the direction that we've got to talk about. I mean, what in them would be patentable? Yeah, there certainly is the code itself, how it's written, so that another company can't copy that code without infringing on your patent. And by the way, in technology, I think there's less of a concern on 20 years of patent, right? Because 20 years of patent, likely your technology has been replaced before 20 years is up. Now, WD-40 hasn't been replaced since 1953, and there's over 2,000 documented usage for WD-40, right? I mean, KFC, KFC is not going to change their formula, because that's what people come and that's what they enjoy, right? And they don't need to. But when it comes to the technology side and the super apps, yeah, it's very likely that that you'll patent that, because you want to get a year running start, a 2-year running start, whatever you can, a couple of months even in the way technology is today.
Right. Good point, Chris. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes left here, and as we wrap up, the U.S. does not have a super app today. There is no what you would call quote unquote super app right now operating in the U.S., which begs the question, why? Is there a regulation issue? Is it a banking issue? Is it just they're just behind issue, or what do you think?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. There's no regulatory issue that I'm aware of, right? There's no law or rule that prevents it that I'm aware of, right? What I think the issue is, more than anything, is that, and let's look at some of the markets where there is a super app, right? Take China, for example, right? Alipay as well as WeChat, dominate those markets for so many other things, right? There's not the level of competition there. There's also, the captiveness of that audience to be able to just get into one app and continuously use it, right? And there's some mindset and culture that also funnels into that. Here in the US, there is device loyalty, number one, right? Okay, so it almost doesn't matter what Google might do. If I'm an Apple person, I'm an Apple person. I'm not changing, and they don't change, right? That's the beauty of one of the beauties of Apple in as far as its business model goes, right? People, they buy their iPad or they buy their iPhone, they're not changing. So that certainly gives Apple an opportunity. The issue that Apple then has is, and this is the issue for all of them, is you need to be connected. You need to be integrated to all these different things to make a super app work. And to me, that's the biggest roadblock we have in this country, or in the Western market in general. I'd include Europe in this too, is that it's very difficult to get people to integrate and to be connected to that one app. Because which one app should we be connected to? And if you're connected to all of them, which, for instance, I don't know, if I'm Uber, I want to be connected to Apple Pay, Google Pay, Alipay, on and on, right? But that gives me, as an app, some advantage. But that removes the exclusivity that Google or Apple can go out to the market and say, we have everything here. Well, Apple has everything here too, and so on. So we have that kind of issue. So and it's too big a thing, despite the size of these companies, right? Whether it's Google, which is who is it, ABC, right? And these huge companies like Apple and Microsoft, and then even though Amazon, even though they're that big, they don't have the money to buy every app.
Right.
So they'll need to do these partnerships. And if I'm doing a partnership, why wouldn't I want to leave it open to partner with everyone? So this has to be sorted out as we go forward. And likely the solution is that, those big apps will have to give in and let the apps that do things for each one of the apps, and allow people then to just decide which super app is better for me. If I'm an Apple person, I'm going to think the Apple super app is better. And Grant, the interesting thing is, if you look at the U.S. market, you look at the European market. I mean, we're talking, 600, 700, 800 million people. So, you can have an amazingly profitable business with just getting a segment of that. And so that's what I see is happening here more than what we've seen, for instance, in Asia, is that we'll have more segmentation here in the market.
I 100% agree with that. What you said, the segmentation, cultural, what is the cultural dynamics, the government, what's there, the captive audiences like in China where you don't have as much choice. I believe that you do have in the Western countries. But I take a page out of what the One Connect has done. It's a specialized super app, right? So you have specialization of that app and a use case. Why are you logging into this super app to do X? And what is that for? And so I think the super app that I see right now with One Connect, it's a great app for if you're traveling. I think for Chris Principe, he's going to Riyadh. He's like, all right, I need a specialized super app for my experience in these particular countries, so that I know I don't have to guess what is that. And then because my AI is embedded within it, it's talking to me, it's communicating to me, is giving me my options, and is an intelligent conversation as to why I'm picking this. So I think that's great. So as we come to a close,
Grant, just a final thing. What you're really talking about is personalization, and people will gravitate to the app that gives them the personalization that they need and want.
Exactly. No, exactly. So enjoy your trip to Riyadh. When you get back, or if you're not, we can find out what's going on over there. Love the conversation that we have. I think we're learning something here, and I really appreciate you. So take care. Goodbye from the big picture.
Thanks, Grant. Great seeing you.
Welcome to our TV network, your ultimate destination for all things exciting and essential. From mouth-watering food to the latest in fashion, health, education, music, movies, and news, plus thrilling sports and breathtaking travel. Our TV network brings it all to you. Tune in today and experience the best of every world. All in one place, rtv.network.